Hello there and welcome to my video about the final day of the season which happened yesterday. Liverpool versus Newcastle has its own separate video which talks about a couple of other things in there as well, such as the records and such like that and stats about Liverpool's season, as well as Dejan Lovren confirming his move from Liverpool to Zenit St. Petersburg. So we're not going to talk about Liverpool versus Newcastle in this one, and we're not going to talk about some games that were just kind of like mid-table. You know, I will cover and I will go through every single match. I'm going to go through the results first, and then we're going to go and look at the standings and talk about some teams, okay? Probably not going to talk about Man City either, because they were definitely a shoo-in for second anyway. We're not going to talk about Norwich, because they were already relegated, and they could never have found a way out anyway. But we're going to talk about some other permutations and stuff like that and my thoughts on them. So feel free to get your thoughts and opinions in about the final day of the season. Let's go through the results of the game. So obviously Liverpool versus Newcastle was 3-1 to Liverpool. Burnley versus Brighton. Brighton won that one 2-1. Southampton beat Sheffield United 3-1 as well. West Ham and Aston Villa drew, which was a key one for Aston Villa particularly, means that they actually stayed in the Premier League with other results going their way as well. Everton versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth won this one 3-1, and it really does make you feel a little bit for Bournemouth. While they left it mostly to the last two games, you know, last week against Southampton, which didn't go their way. You know, they had a goal disallowed, and then they went and lost 2-0. But they came out on fire. They beat Everton. They did everything they had to do. They probably just didn't realise or didn't think that Aston Villa were going to hold on and not get beat by West Ham, considering the form that West Ham have been in. So Bournemouth are down. Crystal Palace versus Tottenham finished 1-1. Kind of a meh sort of game. Didn't watch it. Arsenal versus Watford, 3-2 to Arsenal, which also confirmed Watford going down into the Championship as well. Man City absolutely smashed Norwich 5-0, so there's no point talking about that one really. It's one of them, innit? Chelsea versus Wolves, 2-0 to Chelsea, and I was quite surprised that that's the way it went. I felt that Wolves would put up a little bit more of a fight, but Chelsea are a quality team as well. You can't take anything away from them whatsoever. And then Leicester City 0, Manchester United 2, and I feel that Leicester were the architects of their own demise. So let's go and have a look at the standings as it was and talk about a couple of teams. So Chelsea and Manchester United. Chelsea in 4th, Manchester United in 3rd. Both finished on 66 points, but Man United had a far superior goal difference by plus 30. Chelsea had plus 15. Leicester had plus 26 at the end of the day, and finished in the 5th place as well. Really, I don't understand entirely what has happened with Leicester. Yes, Leicester have been missing players, but I put a tweet out yesterday saying like they'd lost some games during the season, and they'd lost some games to likes of Bournemouth. They'd lost to Norwich at some point as well. They'd lost to some teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect. I know how competitive the Premier League is, and we always applaud how, on any given day, a top team can get beaten by the bottom team. So like when you had Norwich beat Man City one time 3-2. Like, you get these anomalies every now and again. Leicester, for some reason, I don't know whether they just felt they were too far ahead, that they couldn't be caught. Up until the point when they got caught, Brendan Rodgers changed his tactics, changed his formations, and his formation changed to the 3-4-3 or the 3-4-1-2, whatever it might be. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. And it's not necessarily an attack where it didn't work. But defensively, when you're having to rely on Wes Morgan, who doesn't play regularly, and you don't have that cover of a Soyuncu, who was still suspended for this game as well. I can't remember who he got sent off against, but he was still suspended. Very, very, very key and very good quality defender that you're missing in Soyuncu. Obviously, then, you're missing Ricardo Pereira. You're missing Ben Chilwell as well. That back four is brilliant with Johnny Evans in it as well, with all of them involved. But when you switch it to a back three, you bring in 2 other centre-backs as well. Johnny Evans was still there until he got sent off late on. Wes Morgan, who I don't remember playing a great deal since maybe 3 years ago, and another centre-back as well, I can't remember his name. And you don't have those experienced guys like Pereira, like Ben Chilwell as well. Yes, it makes a difference. But there were times where maybe a good pass, like they had great counter-attacks against United yesterday. They had some really great ones with Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy both leading that way, leading the charge, going into their boxes. And you just think, just a little bit of thought, and maybe it was desperation on the mind as well, that maybe altered their way of thinking. But if you just think, slide a pass in over here, slide a pass in over here, play it a little bit more. Instead, what you were getting was Iheanacho taking shots on his weak foot that just basically pitter-patter their way over to David De Gea, not really troubling him a great deal. Man United get a penalty. One of those things. Man United now have the most penalties in a Premier League season with 14 than anyone else in any other Premier League season. Can't say anything else about it. It is what it is. They got awarded them. They took them. Fernandes took that penalty. Johnny Evans gets sent off late on, which is it's just a horrible tackle. Awful tackle. Really, really awful. Obviously, United fans saying, hey, he's doing us a favour, the old club legend. But no, that's a horrible tackle. Really, really not nice. And then Jesse Lingard comes on late on and scores a 96th minute goal or whatever, whenever it was, and it was 2-0. Comprehensive, 2-0. Manchester United actually somehow clawed themselves all the way from like 7th or 6th, whenever it was, months ago, and they got themselves 3rd. Manchester United will go down in this season in history as the 3rd best team. And I could not have predicted that months ago. Not a chance. It's a massive credit to Manchester United and what they've done. And I don't do that lightly, especially as a Liverpool fan. But I like to approach videos where I don't talk about Liverpool very unbiased, no matter who I'm talking about. And Manchester United, in terms of attack, and sometimes even in terms of defence, have been very, very good. Very, very good. Obviously, David De Gea's had questions about him, but at the end of the day, they got themselves in the top 4. They got themselves 3rd. They got themselves into the Champions League. They've achieved probably more than they ever thought they could when you're looking at like January, February sort of time, something like that. They put together some really good wins. They put together some really good results, and they absolutely massively increased their goal difference to a point where they overtook Leicester. They were level with Leicester until they played them, and then they beat them 2-0, and they made that even bigger. Chelsea have done very, very well this season as well. They must be commended for what they've done. People keep saying that they didn't spend this season necessarily, but they still had a new player coming in Pulisic as well. And he will be a fantastic player next season. He absolutely will be a brilliant player for them next season. Seeing him come on in the second half against Liverpool and how he looked like he was playing on fast forward, and the rest of the rest of Liverpool and the rest of the Chelsea team looked like we were playing in slow motion, and he was playing at a completely different, almost like the Flash. He was playing at a different speed to everyone else. He was absolutely electric, and only being 21 years old is nothing short of exceptional. He comes into a difficult league. He's going to do well. He's going to do well. In my opinion, even at this young age and what he's shown so far, I truly believe he will be a better winger than Eden Hazard. He will show the world that that is who Real Madrid should have bought instead of Hazard. I'm just putting it out there right now. So Chelsea, and they've got some cracking signings coming in, it has to be said. Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech. You've also got, I think, possibly Kai Havertz is going to be coming in as well. All they need to do, sort the goalkeeper out and get a more commanding centre-half, they'll be challenging for the title next season. No doubt whatsoever. Leicester have got some thinking to do, because Leicester will be in the Europa League. You know, no mean feat. They were in the Champions League spots all season, though, up until late last week. It's going to suck for them that they got knocked out. It is. It's just going to suck. There's no other two ways about it. It is what it is. But can they keep hold of their players? Can they keep hold of their players that were maybe hoping and banking on playing in the Champions League? And you look at their players. Tielemans, who's a very young, good player, quality midfielder. Ndidi. Everyone looks at Ndidi. Everyone wants Ndidi. If you don't have a Fabinho, people want an Ndidi. And I'm not even turning... I would have him at Liverpool. Just telling you now. I would have him at Liverpool. I would. alongside, like, along with a Fabinho or something like that. He is quality. Then you've got the likes of Maddison as well. People saying already that he was going to be on a move. No doubt he might even be on more of a move now with them being in the Europa League. Harvey Barnes is linked with Liverpool, which is, hey, I need to look at that player a little bit more because I can't really give an opinion. I haven't watched him a great deal, but I'd need some more info on the 22-year-old. Chilwell, can they keep hold of him? Ricardo Pereira, can they keep hold of him? Soyuncu. There's a lot of players that they stand the risk of losing. I'm not saying that they will lose them, but not getting in the Champions League takes a little bit less. It takes a bit of security away from you, in my opinion, anyway. Let's just go down quickly a little bit. Tottenham and Wolves finished on the same points. Wolves finishing just outside the Europa League places. They will be banking on, I don't know actually. Can they get anything? I suppose if Chelsea win it, if Chelsea win the FA Cup, does that mean Wolves in 7th can get a Europa League like qualifying spot? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Or do they already have a qualifying spot already in 7th? I genuinely don't know. Obviously, if Arsenal win it, then I don't think that they do, because Arsenal are sat in 8th. All these teams, you know, Tottenham will want to improve. Mourinho being really happy that they got into 6th, which after the whole Pochettino leaving and where they were under him and where the direction that they were going in under Pochettino didn't seem like it was, you know, going very well. He'll be happy with that, and a plus 14 goal difference as well. Arsenal in 8th need to do better next season, but they need to make some seriously better signings. I was quite sad to see Sheffield United fall away. Like, I remember when they were up, like, you know, challenging, like, alongside Wolves and alongside Man United at some point as well. Sheffield United have been fantastic, and Chris Wilder's team have been absolutely brilliant this season. It shouldn't take the shine of what they've done this season by finishing 9th. It really shouldn't. They should still be commended and applauded for what they've done. And I have no doubt if they get some financial backing for the summer, for the transfer window ahead, that they will make a bit more of a bigger impact, especially with that style of play. It's so difficult to play against, but it's never like playing against like park the bus type stuff. It's it's just such a great, you know, when they play that 3-5-2, no one plays it better, in my opinion. And I think if they get players that can supplement, you know, for the rest of the season, like for a full season, and have good quality coming in and out, they'll do well. They'll do well. Burnley had an all right season. I'll probably couple together a couple of teams here as well. But Burnley probably had one of their best seasons that they've ever had, being in 10th. Maybe not best that they've ever had. I remember they got in Europa League at one point. But one of the better ones anyway. They're not fighting relegation. Southampton, fantastic job by Hassan Hootel, especially after getting smashed 9-0 at one point by Leicester. They stuck with him all the way through. And he's got some very, very good players on his hand, like a Danny Ings, who I personally love. I seriously still wish that it had worked out for him at Liverpool. I really do. If he was playing like he is now at Southampton at Liverpool, he would be challenging that front three spot of Firmino's. He'd be pushing him all the time. Everton finished 12th. Don't really know what else to say about Everton's season. I felt that they probably could have done better at times. But you know, Ancelotti will make his mark on this Everton team. He will. He'll make his mark on it. He'll make these guys work hard. He'll make them defensively really difficult to play. We saw what it was like on the restart. First game back playing against Everton. All right, it's Merseyside derby, but they were so hard to play against. Really difficult to play against. Newcastle, I still feel that they've had a good season under Steve Bruce. People might disagree. You know, Newcastle fans might disagree. They don't always like the style of football and that. But I feel he's utilised like his like Saint Maximin and stuff like that. I feel he's utilised these players really, really well. It hasn't always been plain sailing, and it hasn't always been good to watch. But for once, they haven't been having to go to the last day of the season. In fact, they ended 10 points clear of the relegation zone this season. I think that's good progress for Newcastle. Maybe it's not what they want, and they want to be getting into the top half and challenging for Europa League and stuff like that. But I think in terms of progression, and depending on what happens with their takeover, I don't think it's overly a bad season. I think it's pretty decent for them. Crystal Palace fairly fell off a rock. They fairly, just dived. There was one point when they were like 8th, 7th even at some point as well. They were playing some good football, and they just sort of fell off a cliff. They were obviously, safe from relegation like quite early on, but they just didn't have the best run of games, near the end of the season. But it's still a decent-ish sort of season, just probably not the... at one point it was looking like they could break top 8, maybe stay in that sort of area. And they just really fell away and fell into the sort of same positions, almost like a Newcastle, like a Brighton as well. And Brighton as well, if they recruit well, and Brighton also look like I think they've confirmed Adam Lallana as the, free transfer signing from Liverpool on a 3-year deal. He'll be quality for Brighton. He really will. He'll get game time. He'll get a lot of game time as long as he stays injury-free. And he'll be quality for them. He really will. Whether he plays in the midfield or he plays a little bit further advanced, he'll be absolutely quality for them. And if they get a couple more quality signings, they'll go a little bit further up the table, I believe. Anyway, West Ham and Aston Villa both survived. Obviously, West Ham were, they weren't going down to the final day of the season. They survived a week earlier, if anything. And they faced Aston Villa. It was a 1-1. Literally, they fired back straight away. Aston Villa went in front first, and then straight away, Yarmolenko comes back and scores a goal as well. West Ham need to be hoping for more, but by the sounds of it, they don't look like they're going to have the funding. They're not going to have transfer funds to really work with, to really, galvanise that squad, and also to be able to get rid of some players that maybe they feel aren't pulling their weight. Maybe like... he was exciting when he first turned up, but Felipe Anderson, I haven't seen much of him this season whatsoever. And it seems like his performance has really, really dropped as well in his effort levels. Everything seemed to be going through Antonio over the last couple of weeks at least anyway. So yeah, they need to do some work there, but it's whether they can and whether they can get finances. Is it going to be another tight-fisted transfer window for those guys? I would expect it would be. I'd be surprised if they did go out and splash a lot of money anywhere. Aston Villa staying up by the skin of their teeth, literally. Bournemouth pulling out a performance out their arse against Everton, and it wasn't enough. Watford tried to come back against Arsenal. If they'd have got a point, it still wouldn't have been enough against because of Aston Villa's result. But if they'd have been able to beat Arsenal, they would have stayed in the Premier League. But hey, they didn't have the cojones for it this time, did they? And Norwich were dead and buried weeks ago. 21 points out of 38 games. And it's disappointing because they did play some decent football as well, but they didn't have a killer instinct. They didn't have ruthlessness about them. Watford messed around with managers. I don't care if you've had a massive row with your manager and your owner and you're the owner. Let him hang on for the next 2 games. And then if Watford got relegated, you could have blamed him for the relegation, but you literally can't now. You can only blame yourselves. You've got nowhere to hide. You literally could have said, Nigel Pearson got us relegated, but he didn't, because you sacked him with 2 games to go when he could have got you out. He could have turned around. I'm not saying that he would have. He could have got different results out of the last 2 games. Maybe. But it's just a ridiculous decision. And Watford need to get out of that culture of just changing managers just because they want to. Bournemouth. You could tell how hurt Eddie Howe was yesterday. Eddie Howe was absolutely gutted. And you feel for him. He doesn't get the backing that other teams get. He doesn't get the backing like even an Aston Villa get. I think Villa spent loads in the summer previous and they only just stayed up above Bournemouth by 1 point. Really good performance by Bournemouth against Everton, but it's just not enough. Just not enough. And it's gutting to see them go down because I feel that they're a good team. They just don't have their finances aligned very well. And then we've got some teams coming up as well. We've got playoffs going on for the Championship as well. West Brom are going to be coming up. Leeds are going to be coming up as well. The teams that are coming up into the Premier League next season, I'm going to do separate profile videos on all of them as well. Just to sort of learn about them myself as well. Like, it's great that Leeds are coming up. It's great that obviously, West Brom are coming up as well. I've got no affiliation to either sort of team. I used to live in Leeds, but it doesn't mean I support them. But no, I will. I want to do a profile of them, what they're all about, how they've done in the Championship this last season, why are they the teams that are coming up, and then whoever the third team is out of the playoffs. Kind of hope it's Swansea, but mainly because Ryan Brewster's there, on loan from Liverpool. I'd like to see them come up. But yeah, that is it for everybody. So, I think that's it. That's all I can say. I've gone through every single team and talked a little bit about each team as well. And my throat's really hurting, if you can't tell, with the little bits of coughing here and there anyway. So that's it though. That is all of the Premier League sort of videos done. It's going to be Liverpool focused, transfer window focused. If there's going to be big transfers, even if it's not Liverpool, I will cover them. I will do. Like, say, if Kai Havertz to Chelsea, oh my God, the shock. Then I will talk about it as well, but mainly going to be Liverpool based as well, and then we're going to be learning about some Championship teams as well. Not necessarily going to cover the Champions League and Europa League games because we're not in it. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you, whoever you support this season, have you had a good season? If you've been relegated, what do you expect to happen next season? Does your team come straight back up, or is it a season of struggle in the Championship or something like that? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And hey, thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have managed to stay all the way through this video, I thank you ever so much. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again, and have a great day, and I'll catch you later.